Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. Today's special guest is Demetra DeMonte, the Secretary for the National Republican Party from Illinois. Mm-hmm. From Illinois.
Right.
That's
She's a delegate from Illinois, and she's a secretary of the whole bloomin' RNC.
From Illinois. Now, how did that happen? I mean, Illinois is not even a purple state. Well, it really is a red state, except for certain pockets. But how did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you, I was elected a National Committeewoman back in 2008. Mm-hmm. And I was elected secretary just 2 years later, which is very, very unusual. Usually you have to be in with you know how committees are. You have to earn your stripes. You have to, years and years and years. Well, I was elected, and those of you who know me know I just don't, if I'm in, I'm in. So right. I moved immediately. I got involved immediately. I'm a member of the Conservative Caucus.
And founder
and one of the founders of the National Republican Conservative Caucus. And as such, I wrote, and I was the chief sponsor of several important pieces of policy that went through the RNC. And that, by the way, is very unusual. The RNC typically, they do not get into policy. Members don't get involved in policy. But we believed that we needed to get involved in policy. So I was active, and people saw there's a woman with a brain. So I was able to pursue that. And I helped my colleagues doing a variety of things. I was always out there. And I was there at the right time.
Because look how bad it was with this fellow Schlander, your predecessor. That guy was for the politics of the past, just keep the people in office, and power and money flows to the people in positions like that. He was not at all for the values that were in the platform of the Republican Party. Just playing old-style, dirty Illinois politics, and along came you. You're an angel.
Well, Demetra, I have a question for you. Who was your predecessor at the national level?
At the Mary Jo Arndt.
Okay. Now, did she not run?
Yes, she decided not to run.
Okay.
And so 4 years ago, it was a very competitive election. Mm-hmm. And this little downstate gal, who was originally from Chicago,
with Chicago from Chicago.
A Democrat, right.
The same place where our president's from.
But I was elected, and I just went full throttle. And then when I was on the RNC for less than 2 years, I was approached by a couple of members saying, "You ought to consider running for secretary." I'm going, "You got to be kidding me! I've only been out for 2 years."
Well, you were also on the national level for the state. You were the coalitions director for 2010.
Yes. So I was also involved. Yes, and so in fact, that is absolutely true. And as such, I was one of the very few members of the RNC that would give presentations to the whole committee. There were only maybe a couple of us. Typically, at the meetings, the chairman of the RNC and the co-chairman would do the presentations, or maybe the general counsel. Mm-hmm. But I always gave a presentation. Thank you for bringing that up, because I think that's another reason people saw what I was doing. And I always talked about on the ground.
You were a big champion of this American populist movement known as the Tea Party movement.
Yes, absolutely.
You knew they had Republican values, that they would get what they wanted by helping Republican candidates, which is better government, more limited government.
Absolutely.
And not everybody in the party was so fired up about this Tea Party thing. I think that a lot of them were scared.
Let's slide in a little credit here for Morton Blackwell.
Morton Blackwell.
Head of the Leadership Institute and a delegate to the RNC from Virginia. He's been doing this thing, educating young people in colleges, thousands of them a year, year after year. I've been a big devotee of the work of Morton Blackwell for a number of decades. I think it goes back like 30 years. That fellow brought more young people into the Republican Party for big values. And he recognized you when you first went to the RNC.
It's called leadership. He's the leadership institute.
I was here again. I was really blessed because when I went to introduce myself to Morton, I'm from Illinois, and he goes, "Illinois, do you know Jack Roser? Absolutely, I know Jack Roser. And so when I decided to make the run for secretary, you and I talked, and it's very important to try to get people on the committee to endorse you. And I contacted Morton, and you contacted Morton, and Morton wrote one of the most beautiful recommendations, and he was one of the 5 or 6 people who took to the microphone on the floor to nominate me.
Oh, how
at
wonderful.
the convention.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
He was one of my nominators. I was so very, very
I did send
lucky.
a young attorney.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Jesse DeSplinter.
Yes, Jesse DeSplinter was
Jesse.
working for me, and he wanted to help you, and you asked for him.
Oh.
So we sent him to handle a lot of the legal details.
I don't
He's a
think I
great
could have
guy.
done it without Jesse. Jesse was so incredible. See, it was a very, very competitive election. I didn't even have my husband come. Sometimes you have spouses. I was absolutely myopic with all that I did. And without your help with Jesse, it would have been exceedingly difficult. Because he did a lot of the things that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk more with Demetra DeMonte and what needs to be done and all of these conventions coming up after the break.